Hey there peeps, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at PlayStation's State of Play. There will be trailers for titles we already know about, but there will also be new announcements for titles we've never heard of, so stick around because some of the things you're about to see are real eye-catchers. To start us off, Sony is pulling out February's most anticipated release, Monster Hunter Wilds. The trailer shows off multiple encounters with a large variety of monsters that you'll be hunting, all for the sake of carving them up for their materials and crafting yourself the ultimate set of weapons and armor. The combat looks more action-packed than ever before, with new combos for every single weapon type and new skills and tools for your Palico companions. Their first free update, coming in spring 2025, is the addition of the Mizutsune monster alongside an event quest and additional updates. The second free update, coming in summer 2025, will have another new monster and a new event quest. At the time of writing this, we only have 15 days left until the game launches on the 28th of February. I hope Capcom's servers will be able to handle the load of players that will spend the entire weekend doing nothing other than hunting. Sega follows up with Shinobi Art of Vengeance, a 2D action platformer with beautiful hand-drawn animations and very fun combat, mixing combos, tools, and shinobi arts to devastating effect. It comes from the team behind Streets of Rage 4 and will be available on the 29th of August 2025. It looks like Sony has been emboldened by their recent win with Astrobot, and this time they're pushing the pedal to the metal with Sonic Racing Crossroads, bringing all of your favorite characters with their own signature rides in a racing game that spans land, sea, sky, and everything in between. Digimon Story Time Stranger is a turn-based RPG where you'll travel along time and space alongside your Digimon companions. The world looks to be semi-open and will have monster taming features allowing you to capture and level up Digimons to add them to your party. I'm not the target audience for this, but if you're a fan of turn-based monster battles, you might want to take a closer look at this. There is no concrete release date for this game, but it's expected to release sometime this year.
I keep having the same dream. A horrible dream, where monsters invade our world. A powerful being falls from the sky, and when it seems they might vanquish the invaders, the dream ends. Is this really just a dream?
Hey, remember that one game from 10 years ago that you once saw on a video on YouTube that you swore looked like a Final Fantasy game, but it actually wasn't and was only developed by one person? Well, Sony picked that dev up and gave them a team to help them fulfill their vision. Isn't that nice of them? Lost Soul Aside is a third-person action-adventure game with spectacular combat where you play as a character that pretty much reminds me of Noctis from Final Fantasy XV. Unlike Final Fantasy XV, however, the combat doesn't feel clunky and offers a lot of freedom of movement. You'll be flying, running on platforms you create in midair, and even air surfing as you travel through different worlds and dimensions with a shadowy, dragon-like companion. Throughout your journey, you will encounter different characters that may or may not be friendly. Suffice to say, the game promises spectacular boss battles with riveting combat, so you won't want to miss this, especially if you're a die-hard Devil May Cry fan. Majima is the gift that keeps on giving, and this time he's going to Hawaii to live out his long-life dream of becoming a pirate. You'll be able to try out the new Like a Dragon, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii on the 14th of February when the demo launches out, as the full release is just around the corner on the 21st of Feb. Not enough Yakuza for you? Then how about some Yakuza in your Dave the Diver, where Ichiban and other characters will brawl their way through waves of enemies in some classic beat-em-up goodness. Splitgate 2 is getting an alpha on February 27th if you've ever wanted a shooter that has you thinking with portals. Open up portals in unexpected locations to ambush your rivals or to make a speedy getaway because, as a great neurotoxin-obsessed AI once taught us, speedy thing goes in, speedy thing goes out. If you've ever wanted to go to an island and live out your wrestling superstar fantasy, then look no further than WWE 2K25. Customize your very own wrestler and head into the island for wrestling events, quests, and all sorts of wacky moments that you could only expect from a wrestling match. You'll be able to wrestle your way to stardom on March 14th. Borderlands 4, the wild looter shooter that gets a new trailer showing its signature combat style, mixing guns with powerful character abilities that will cause mayhem on anyone foolish enough to get in between you and whatever loot hides in yonder chest. It's coming out a little later in the year, however, releasing on the 23rd of September, so you'll have to wait for that a bit. Split Fiction is the newest brainchild of Joseph Fares, the somewhat uncontrollable yet charming element of the Game Awards.
Fuck the Oscars, you know?
It's a two-player co-op adventure that has you jumping through different worlds as Mio and Zoe, two writers that focus on completely opposing genres, sci-fi and fantasy. Quick note here, I find it really wholesome that Joseph named the main characters of this game after his daughters. Aww. Stuck in a simulation that was supposed to help them bring to life the worlds they've always dreamed of, they must now find a way to escape the simulation so that their ideas and creativity do not get siphoned off by their evil corporate overlords. Makes you wonder if this is a meta commentary on the current state of the gaming industry. Regardless, Split Fiction will be available come March 6th.
Status report.
Looks like it penetrated through there. We need to inspect the hull damage first.
Doesn't look too bad.
Doesn't look too good either. What is that?
The creators of Until Dawn and the Quarry from Supermassive Games are back, and this time they're bringing us a sci-fi horror narrative game in the form of Directive 8020. You'll be following the crew of a spacefaring vessel as they investigate what exactly breached their ship's hull. As time goes on, they discover that things will get progressively worse as whatever managed to get in has the ability to replicate the crew's appearance. Now, I don't know about you, but this to me sounds like The Thing, but in space, and if we've learned anything from that movie, then we better prepare those flamethrowers. The game will come out at the start of Spooky Month of this year, October 2nd. Still didn't get enough of the mascot horror genre? Well then, good news for you, as we have a new Five Nights at Freddy's game called The Secret of the Mimic. You arrive at an abandoned warehouse searching for a missing contractor called Edward Murray, who was working on a new piece of tech. This tech being a new type of endoskeleton which can adapt to any costume and play any character. You'd think after so many malfunctions with these mascots, Fazbear Entertainment would take the hint and find other ways to do business, but nope. They're as stubborn as a mule and will continue to throw you into dire situations because we all know their HR team doesn't consider you to be anything more than just cannon fodder to further the company's goals. This first-person horror experience will be available on the 13th of June, where I'm sure everything will go smoothly and no animatronics will try to eat your face. Alright, we finally get to see a little more of the Midnight Walk. Presented as a cozy horror game, this title will have you take control of the Burnt One, and your job is to bring back fire to the world. Along the way, you'll be joined by a little companion called Potboy, and together you'll have to navigate this dark and unforgiving world, avoiding monsters that want nothing more than to chew on your bones. The game is beautifully animated using real-world clay and stop motion, which makes me feel like it's a mix of a first-person version of Little Nightmares and The Nightmare Before Christmas. Needless to say, I'm very interested in the Midnight Walk and can't wait to play it for myself on May 8th. The first time I laid my eyes on this game, all I could think about was Oddworld. Maybe it's the big eyes or the octopus head, I don't know, but this 2D adventure will have you playing as Darwin the octopus, and you'll have to help him escape a food processing plant before he becomes food himself. Among other stranger conspiracies. Dynasty Warriors meets roguelite mechanics in Warriors Abyss. Wreak havoc in hell by choosing your allies carefully, using and combining their skills to such an extent that the game is boasting 16 million battle styles. The game is already available on PS4 and PS5, so you can start playing right now. As an appetizer for the new Onimusha title that was announced not too long ago, Onimusha 2 Samurai's Destiny is making a return with enhanced graphics and new quality of life features. The game will be available on May 23rd. Of course, they wouldn't just announce the enhanced version of an old PS2 game just by itself without following it up with new footage of Onimusha Way of the Sword, and it looks awesome. It follows historical figure Miyamoto Musashi, portrayed as a somewhat boastful, silly, but lovable idiot. He'll be fighting against otherworldly enemies called the Genma in what seems to be a slightly slower pace, more tactically focused combat style based around parries, executions, and taking advantage of windows of opportunity to deal damage. No release date for this one, however, but it is planned to release this year. The legendary infiltration specialist Solid Snake makes a return in MGS Delta Snake Eater. Is what I would be saying if I hadn't played any of the games before. The game is a remake of Metal Gear Solid 3 and has you playing as Naked Snake. The trailer showed only cinematics, so we can't really comment on gameplay yet, but I will admit that it does fill me with joy seeing the improved graphics. Part of me wonders if this is the beginning of a series of remakes for the entire MGS series, aimed at capturing players both old and new. MGS Delta Snake Eater will be coming out on the 28th of August.
When the fury of emotions sparks the wildfire of violence, it dissolves our illusions and exposes the fragile structure of reality.
Okay, this game got me hooked from the get-go. Hell Is Us was already teased over 2 years ago, and we've been getting more info as time went on. This time, we're taking a look at the more atmospheric side of this game. It shows that the events of Hell Is Us will take place in a post-apocalyptic setting, mixing sci-fi and supernatural elements. The character's design reminds me of Sam Porter Bridges from Death Stranding, but I'm not complaining. This kind of urban wear with hooded cloaks and plenty of straps, zippers, and pockets is an aesthetic that I've fallen in love with ever since I was first exposed to it when playing Arknights. The game promises a unique exploration system devoid of any navigational tools like a map, compass, or quest markers, and will guide you through the world with its writing and level design. I'm more excited by this feature than I should be, as it is very reminiscent of how I felt when playing Outer Wilds. Combat will be familiar to Souls fans, as you'll have a stamina system, a variety of weapons to equip and play around with, as well as skills that you can use to mow down your enemies. The release date for this one is the 4th of September, so bide your time. If by any chance you didn't have enough of Lies of P, then rejoice, because Lies of P Overture is now making its way to you this summer. You'll have new areas to explore, a new story, new weapons to wield, and new bosses to defeat. Overture will serve as a prequel to the original Lies of P, as it will have you traveling into Krot's past just before the puppet frenzy takes place, and chances are the actions you take there will have consequences that will span time itself. Dreams of Another is a strange third-person shooter that has you traveling through dreamlike landscapes with a gun. At first, the world seems like a blurry mess, but the more you shoot, the clearer things around you become. The game tries to emphasize the idea of creation through destruction, and while I'm not sure how well this will be executed or what the actual story will be about, I'll be keeping an eye on it as my curiosity has been piqued. Moving right along, Days Gone is getting a remaster with PS5 Pro and VRR support, including new content like permadeath mode, speedrun mode, enhanced photo mode, new accessibility features, and Horde Assault. If you already own the game on PS4, all you need is $10 extra to upgrade to the new version, which is releasing on the 25th of April. Meanwhile, Stellar Blade is getting new DLC in the form of a crossover event with the studio's popular mobile game title, Nikke Goddess of Victory. It promises a new boss battle, collectible dolls and stickers, and a new outfit. This DLC launches at the same time as the PC version of the game this June. The devs responsible for Life is Strange are back with their signature visual style, this time following the story of a group of 4 friends that encounter the strange and supernatural. This will be an episodic narrative adventure that will have its first episode release on the 18th of February. Alright, listen up, because this one is an interesting title. Blueprints is a mix of puzzle solving and roguelike elements. You find yourself at a manor where you're supposed to find room 46. However, the manor is not easy to navigate, as each door can lead to very different places. You'll have to decide what rooms appear whenever you open a closed door and try to figure out the mysteries held within, in the hopes that solving them will help you get closer to room 46. But be careful, because you're on a timer. Every new day, the manor shifts and the rooms you've discovered are lost. You'll have to start your exploration from the beginning unless you were lucky enough to find some permanent upgrades beforehand. Blueprints is coming this spring, but there's already a demo available on Steam if you want to give that a try before making a decision. Craving for some co-op survival action? Then Abiotic Factor will provide you with just that. Team up with up to 6 players and find your way out of this underground facility full of traps and monsters. You'll have to craft tools and weapons to make this place safe for you and your friends, or risk losing it all when the monsters get to you. PlayStation users will be able to get Abiotic Factor this summer, but if you're also a Steam user, you'll be able to play it right now, as it's been in early access since May of last year.
No one knows how that world came into being. It devoured everything from the past. Only I was left.
was a fatal mistake.
Alright, we're going into uncharted territory now, and let me just say that there's some really cool stuff here. This is one of the most eye-catching announcements that I've seen at the State of Play. It's called Tides of Annihilation, and you'll be playing with Gwendolyn, the last survivor in a ruined London. Combat is absolutely spectacular, allowing for player expression by using the Spectral Knights as part of your moveset. The knights themselves are inspired by Arthurian lore and will each have their own skills and abilities for you to create your own combat style around. The world looks absolutely beautiful, even if it is a post-apocalyptic setting, and the scale of it almost rivals that of Warhammer 40k, with giant whales that carry monasteries on their backs and towering knights that you will have to defeat in combat. I expect great things from Tides of Annihilation after this presentation. The only problem is that it doesn't have a release date, so now I need to forget it exists to trick myself into thinking that time will go by faster. Taking a look at this game, I was certain I was about to see the developers from Ghostwire making a return. Turns out I was wrong, and it's actually Raycon Games, the studio responsible for Ruiner, a game published back in 2017 by Devolver Digital. This is Metal Eden, an acrobatic first-person shooter that has you scrapping robotic enemies as you dash and wall run across the battlefield with ease. The way the story was presented makes me suspect that there will also be some roguelike elements, but I might be wrong. Run and climb your way through Mobius, a city that was supposed to be humanity's last hope, but now has turned into a death trap, and figure out what happened as you try to save what remains of humanity. All this and more will be available once the game releases on the 6th of May. Okay, I'm not really sure how to feel about this next title. It gives me the vibes of a third-person cyberpunk prequel due to its focus on cybernetics and also a strange implant that is causing our main character problems, but no, this is actually a completely standalone game called Mind's Eye. It's a story-driven third-person shooter set in the city of Red Rock, where you play as Jacob Diaz, a former soldier suffering from memory loss. The game features an open world, vehicular combat, and a gripping narrative, but I will need to see more before I make a firm decision on this one. No planned release date yet, so there's time to think. Sadly, this next title only had a cinematic teaser with no gameplay, but if you pay attention to the details and to the developers involved with this game, you'll quickly figure out that you can expect Saros to be a bullet hell shooter. Housemarque, the developers for Saros, are known for their previous title Returnal, a third-person shooter with roguelike and bullet hell elements. If their previous track record is anything to go by, we can expect Saros to come out in 2026 with a very similar offering, if not the exact same. We won't need to wait too long for confirmation, however, as new gameplay footage will be shown later this year. And with that, we come to the end of February's State of Play. I'm honestly surprised there were so many titles and quite pleased to see promising new IPs take the stage. Tides of Annihilation is definitely my #1 standout out of this entire list thanks to its combination of great visuals and stylish combat a la Devil May Cry, but that doesn't mean I'm turning up my nose at the others. Far from it actually. I think I've added the majority of the titles presented here to my wishlist, which is cause for great concern as my backlog just keeps increasing and there seems like there will be no end in sight anytime soon. Regardless, what are your thoughts on the State of Play? Any titles that got you excited, or was this below expectations for you? Leave your thoughts in the comments down below, as I'm very eager to see what people are interested in. But that's gonna be it for me. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, have a good one.